the spaces were so small that is still successful today. Once the game went out to the Midwest, they had bigger courts and shooters took over, and it kind of changed.
I know in the book, you have a chapter saying the busy Izzies take over. Now explain to everybody who the busy Izzies are.
They were a group of young kids who learned to play basketball at one of the settlement houses, and they just kind of developed together and played in various tournaments and were very, very successful. And one of them, 5'4" player named Barney Cedrin, was called the Mighty Mite. And in the first 20 years, maybe, of the 20th century, he was probably the best player in America. And Marty Freeman, a whole bunch of young kids from that team, from that organization, grew to play and to dominate in several of the initial professional leagues that proliferated mostly in the Northeast, the New York State League and leagues such as that. And they were dominated by Jewish players. And some of these guys played 2 games a night, played 10 games in a week to make money. Barney Cedrin was like the highest paid professional basketball player of all. He's making like $12,000 a year in the early 20s, which in those days is a lot of money.
I do know that obviously one of the most influential Jews when it came to basketball was Abe Saperstein, and you have a whole chapter here called The Barnum of Basketball. Tell everybody about him, because he was so important with the growth of basketball at that time.
He was an entrepreneur who did play a little basketball. He wasn't very good. He was kind of short and round. But he just got the idea of getting together a team of black basketball players. I think they call themselves the Savoy Five or something like that. I don't quite remember. And he took them on the road, and they played their first game outside of Chicago. They were based in Chicago and made like $25 or something for all of them. And eventually, he was like, he came out there with 5 players, and he was the 6th player in case somebody got hurt or something like that. And eventually it grew into a very lucrative situation. But it turned out that this team, the Globetrotters, was so good that wherever they played straight basketball and just obliterated their opponents. So at some point, they stopped getting bookings. So then they had to come up with another way to be employed, and that's where they developed all their routines, their clown routines, and became a worldwide sensation.
Charley Rosen is with us. We're talking about his book, The Chosen Game, A Jewish Basketball History. One of the things I was surprised to learn about in your book is most people don't know that Mark Cuban has a Jewish background. He didn't want to talk about the subject for your book. What do you think was behind that?
Maybe he's going to run for president. He doesn't want to alienate anti-Semites or something. Who knows what goes on in his head? But his spokesman said Mark Cuban doesn't want to talk about it. Okay.
Tell me about some of the other influential people, Jewish people, as far as basketball goes.
Well, Matt Holman was a major figure in a lot of ways. He was, again, a professional basketball player in all the early leagues and dominant and led a lot of these leagues in scoring and was also coaching basketball at the City College of New York, CCNY. And he recruited almost exclusively Jewish basketball players. And then he joined the Boston Celtics, the original, not the Boston Celtics. Then he joined the original Celtics, a mostly Irish team from around the 20s in New York City, and they started to tour, and they became one of the dominant teams, professional teams in America. And Holman was